Welcome back, everybody. Will Worsham joins us once again for this week's Speaking Legal discussion, of course, where he answers a viewer's legal question right here on the air. Welcome back, Will. Good to see you.
Thanks, Joy. You too.
All right, let's take a look at today's question. I have a daughter with an ex-girlfriend of mine. We never made any formal arrangements when we split. I do get to see my daughter from time to time, and I give her money as well. Now my ex-girlfriend is getting married. How can I make sure my rights are protected? What do you say?
Hey, well, one, that's a great question.
Yeah.
First of all, it's interesting that this impending marriage is what's raised the issue because, frankly, that may not have a whole lot to do with it. Just because the mother of your child gets married doesn't necessarily affect your rights.
Right.
The issue here, though, is this should have been done a long time ago. I don't know how old the daughter is or how long this has been going on.
Say.
But realistically, you want to establish those rights right at the beginning, and it's surprising that neither party did that, except that I've seen this come up a number of times. What needs to happen here is one of these people, and since it's the dad here writing in, we'll talk about him, he needs to go to court and petition to establish paternity. She may not contest that. That may go very smoothly, but part of that process is going to be going through everything that you would do even in a divorce situation, which is where you establish a presumptive child support amount, get a court order that talks about the child support amount that's due, and establish a parenting plan. That parenting plan is going to include visitation rights as well as decision-making authority over the daughter. Once that's in place, that's really going to lock in his rights. Not that they would necessarily be disturbed by this marriage anyway. It sounds like there's going to be probably a stepdad in place. We talked about that a couple of weeks ago, step-parents and things like that.
That's right.
So, you know, it's an issue that we deal with, but nothing that can't be overcome.
Yeah, and we've talked about the parenting plan before and the importance of that, and you raised a really good question. Why is this just now coming up? So it sort of makes me wonder about that, but there's something in the question that made me wonder too. I do get to see my daughter from time to time, and I give her money as well. I didn't know absolutely if that meant I help support the daughter. I give the daughter money, she's a grown daughter somehow, or do I give the mother money
I didn't really read it that way. I kind of took it maybe as giving the money to the mother for support, but it could be giving it to the daughter, although if it's a grown daughter, this is all kind of a moot point anyway.
But how grown? I guess, I mean, is it possible that some people say, you know what, I give my daughter some money to use for school or this, that, and the other, so I've done my part, but legally, no, not so much.
Not so much, really. It's almost kind of sad that we would think that that's the extent of our obligation there.
Right, but we don't know because there's a lot of kind of unanswered questions.
There's a lot of vagueness there. So in a way, it's kind of good that a court's going to get involved, give both parties their rights and responsibilities so everybody knows what's what and can go forward from there.
All right, so what is the best course of action? The father probably needs to actually start this process.
Yeah, he does. He's going to need a lawyer. He's going to need a petition, like I said, for paternity. It's a simple lawsuit. The mother will get served. They maybe even could go together.
I started to say, can they just make this simple and maybe just go in together? And
They're still going to need a lawyer, really, to just facilitate that process. It's going to be hard to get the right paperwork filed. You've got to pull a Form 14. You've got to go through this whole Rule 40 calculation that figures out what that child support amount is. It's going to be much more helpful to have a lawyer do that. There are some forms available on the Missouri Court's website for this type of stuff. Although a lot of people try to do stuff like that and it gets kicked back because it's just not filled out right. But the dad could talk to the mom up front and say, hey, I want to go ahead and do this. And maybe that becomes a very friendly process.
It looks like, I mean, I get the feeling from this it might be because it sounds like they do have a good relationship. And hopefully everybody does, and this won't necessarily, you know, change anything. And I am sure that people could come to you and you could possibly help them out with this.
Our firm would be more than happy to help.
I'm quite sure they would. But what kind of an attorney does one look for when it comes to family matters like this?
Right, this is a family law attorney. And so you can search for family law. People a lot of times think of divorce lawyers, child support, child custody, but family law is kind of the overarching term. It encompasses
all of it. Okay, good to know. All right, Will Worsham, it's good to see you as always. If you have a legal question for Will, you can email at wworsham@color10.com. He will answer your question on the show, and we look forward, as always, to seeing you next week.
Thanks, Joy.
Will, thank you so much. Good to see you. All right, coming up next, you saw him earlier. Billy Dean is in the house. He's going to perform for us when we come back, so stay with us.